Here's your new toy, Alec. The other kids will be so jealous, at least the ones you don't blow away first. It's got more firepower than you can shake a third world dictatorship at. That may sound stylish, but if you ask me, this car really needs a lady's touch. And no offense to your friend, but the AI could use a few adjustments.
Please exit the vehicle.
You kept a lady waiting. Nice work, Alec. Those are some fireworks. I think your ride's here, Alec. Looks like Evil's premiered in Los Angeles, Alec. Feel like crashing a party?
Spy Hunter was one of the games that really grabbed me. There were only a few games back then that you really pumped quarters into, and Spy Hunter was one of those.
No, at the time that I played the game, I didn't know what a successful video game was. I just knew what video games I liked, and that was one of the ones that I remember in college as being a game that I had really gotten into.
Spy Hunter was something that at that particular moment in time I had a tremendous amount of passion for. I can visualize, the plane trip from Tokyo back, thinking, okay, we've got to make, I've got to make this car game. It just seemed like a real natural thing. Let's do a car game. Let's make it a car with weapons.
I think what really grabs me about Spy Hunter is the music.
Whenever you got weapons, you got music, and when the Peter Gunn theme ran out, you'd get these riffs. And so, if you've ever seen a really good Spy Hunter player, he gets a lot of these jazz riffs that go in between that hook together the Peter Gunn theme. The G6155 CIA prototype interceptor was the name of the car, and it was my initial and my birthday, 6155. It was a difficult exercise to determine what this car was going to look like, but the biggest frustration was that in a top view driving game with two 32 by 32 pixel picture blocks stacked together to represent this car, forget about it. It's a white blob with some stripes.
I think one of the things that people really love about the game is your ability to transform into different vehicles.
In something like a vehicle, if that vehicle is going to transform, I want the transformation to be feasible.
To me, one of the coolest things was getting into the weapons van to reload.
If you run out of ammunition, I need a real event that's going to replenish your ammunition.
It offered you this unlimited experience where you could just keep going, and it never really felt like it finished, which was totally unique for its time. And Spy Hunter had this wonderful sit-down, very large cabinet that would really consume the player, and the controls were good. It had a very futuristic type steering wheel control mechanism.
And when I was doing the controls, I sculpted those grips that became, now they've been used on a bazillion games. They're sort of a coin-op industry standard.
To me, Spy Hunter was a special game because it had a completely different play mechanic that was really simple, yet completely original.
I think Spy Hunter, being the first sort of racing combat game, I think it sort of helped define a genre that's pretty popular now.
Well, I think Spy Hunter as a arcade game would be in the top 10 arcade games of all time.
The coolest thing was, hey, I got music, I got a couple of cars, and I've got a stack of lights. I got every weapon, I got some of them twice, and so I'm loaded for bear. I'm on the road, bring them on, and it was great fun.
We wanted to make a great action combat driving game without being shackled by the design of the original. So it's basically a game that's inspired by Spy Hunter versus, bringing the old Spy Hunter and everything that it had to the next gen consoles.
As the game evolved in modern day, you need something with a lot more depth, and so you really need you need Nostra and you need all that stuff.
First kind of coat of paint or pass in terms of design, if you will, was to replicate not the gameplay identically, but replicate what I would call the gameplay experience, meaning how playing the game made you feel.
We set out to make a great game that lived on its own and brought all the Spy Hunter elements into it, and I think that's why it sort of succeeded on its own.
I think E3 2001, when we introduced the product and let everybody take a look at what we were doing, that was the turning point, when they realized that we weren't just using Spy Hunter as a crutch.
we did the right thing. We took the right steps to make it great, and I think that people, the game magazines and the fans, the people that bought the game, really saw that.
Everybody has kind of their moment when you really realize you're there, and for me it was standing in the conference room upstairs at the Midway meeting, looking out of this glass window, looking down on the Midway booth and seeing a line of 10 people waiting to play Spy Hunter and seeing the smiles on their faces. We approached Spy Hunter 2 with a very fresh perspective.
Well, one of the first things we talked about is what can we add to the existing play mechanic that we really like, that everybody seemed to really enjoy, to sort of bring it to the next level.
There were a number of aspects of the game that I didn't feel fulfilled their full potential.
We also wanted to just give the player more options. One of the things that we found was that people felt that the game was pretty short.
It was one of those circumstances that by the time you finally figure it all out and you have somewhat of a formula to blow out further, you have to finish it.
We also wanted to allow the player to have more choices to make throughout the game. Instead of just sort of buying a ticket and taking him on a ride for the entire game, we wanted to give the player more choices to make throughout the game.
Moving into Spy Hunter 2, one of the dreams on the wish list, if you will, was to be able to replicate in 3D what was done with the original Spy Hunter. We've done that. We have the ability to dynamically generate pieces of track.
So we think it's kind of cool and nostalgic. It allowed us to create an environment in which you're able to continually play and keep driving down this road that never seems to end.
Due to the fact that it's random, you don't know what's coming next.
And we're using this for our boss areas where you'll want to do battle with this boss on an endless road until the boss is destroyed.
For example, one of the boss battles is a train, and you have to continue to blow parts off of this train.
Each car of the train has sort of its own attack style. It'll also launch vehicles at you to sort of disrupt your attack.
And until you complete this boss battle and take out this train, they're going to continue to spawn track pieces, and you're going to continue to go on.
I like the introduction of a female character. I think that's great.
She rides a motorcycle, and it's an incredible motorcycle that does justice to her character.
She's a new IES agent that was recruited. The player, as Alec, doesn't know much about her.
And there's quite a bit of interplay that goes on between the proverbial female agent and Alec's sex.
Spy Hunter is really all about the car and what that car can do, and the sort of cool factor of the Interceptor. I think that's what the whole franchise is sort of based around, is the car.
The 8155 Interceptor is the next iteration in the series from the engineering department at IES.
Well, this time around the car can transform into a off-road vehicle. It can also transform into a snowmobile. You can choose to go into escape cycle mode, blow the pieces off the Interceptor, and use those as a projectile weapon, and then, hit the gun and escape.
We had a great time making Spy Hunter. It was something that, was pure. It was something we really wanted to do, and I think that's how you end up with stuff like that. I think you end up with great stuff when you have fun making it.
The video game explosion. It all started in the arcade. The drop of tokens, the blips, the bursts, the highs, the lows, the memories. Stop reminiscing, because Midway has taken more than 20 of its classic arcade games and included them on one next-generation home video game. That's right, Midway Arcade Treasures. Midway Arcade Treasures is jam-packed with over 20 classic arcade games. Go back to the space-age adventure of Defender to save yourself from alien invaders, or take part in the medieval multiplayer hack-and-slash mayhem, a fan-favorite Gauntlet. You'll get cool DVD content including game histories, developer interviews, and much, much more. All in the jam-packed arcade collection of Midway Arcade Treasures. Be part of the dueling action and engage in flying combat in Joust. Take on classic Fast and Furious race car action with popular Spy Hunter. Over 20 classic arcade games, cool DVD content, hundreds and hundreds of hours of jam-packed arcade action. All can be found in Midway Arcade Treasures. Rediscover your arcade treasures. Coming November 2003.